Welcome back to a Friday here at Aggressively Healthy Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a special one for you today. We brought one in from the West Coast.
California, baby.
Cali. We're going to introduce you to Liza Wendell. She is a registered dietitian, a certified trainer, former tech leader, a mother, a traveler, a runner, a skier, a biker, a hiker, an athlete of by multiple things like that.
Keep going.
So you kind of do a little bit of everything. So
That's
welcome.
Right. Thank you very much.
Michael.
It's good to be here.
Good
Hi.
to see you this morning.
Good morning.
So I think we'll start out, we might as well just dive right into it. So thanks for coming. And if you don't mind, give us a little background on yourself, where you're born, a little bit of history on Liza.
All right, let's do it. So you got my name right. So
That was good. We practiced a bunch.
We did practice that. All right.
Pre-production work is what we do best around here.
Well, she said she was super nervous before we started.
That's a
about
lie.
saying your name wrong.
Which being nervous in this room is like look at Marcus. He's not nervous ever.
Yeah, he's sleeping right now.
He's
Hey.
on Instagram, actually.
He probably is. All right, back to the show.
right.
So talk to us about you.
All right. I am born and raised in Sacramento, California.
Awesome.
Not something to brag about, but
Why, you don't like Sacramento?
yeah, it's gotten better.
Good.
It's gotten better.
Isn't it the capital?
It is the capital.
People don't really know that.
Because they think
It's
it's
a little tidbit.
like L.A.,
LA or San
Yeah.
Francisco.
which is odd that it's not, because those are like big booming cities, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Do you know why it's the capital?
No.
Sorry, I can't hear you. What?
Do you know why?
No.
Do you know why?
Sacramento? I have no idea.
Oh, yeah. We're going to Google
I didn't know if there was like a real
Google
reason.
it.
Fact check.
Yeah.
Marcus will chime in later. Born in Sacramento.
Yeah, born in Sacramento. All right. I went to school in the East Coast for about a year, college.
Where?
Northeastern.
Nice.
Lasted just a few months.
Did the cold get you?
Too cold.
Yeah.
It was also like a private East Coast school, so a little preppy.
Yep.
I was just telling Mike this, was watching all of my friends in sunny places partying in sundresses, and I
Right.
was bundled up in the East Coast.
Yeah, in a sweater drinking Natty Lights out of a keg for $35.
So good.
So much better than sunny California. But to keep going.
So I was studying fashion.
Really?
Yeah. It's still a passion of mine, but
Yep.
not a career. Didn't love it, like I said. Moved back home, which was a pretty big trip for me.
Yep.
I didn't expect to move back home. Took school pretty seriously growing up. We were also talking about that last night. Kind of have drill sergeant parents, so was always taking school very seriously. Moved back home. I was not raised with home cooked meals, so
Yeah.
cooking was not something that was familiar to me at all. Exercise also not a big part of my life growing up. Wasn't the most athletic. Dabbled in like club soccer, club gymnastics, whatever, but wasn't ever very good at any of it. Was a pretty good swimmer actually, but realized I didn't like getting my hair wet every single day before school. And so eventually quit that one as well. But moved back home and started living by myself, and that's when I kind of started to realize, like, all right, I need to learn how to like cook and be by myself, independent, and wasn't raised by like these home cooked meals.
Wasn't there someone that you met along the way that
Should
kind
I
of?
shout her out?
I think it's
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I was in school.
This
Was
is freshman year.
freshman year.
Yeah.
Adamant that I was not going to gain the freshman 15 or whatever they call it, right? I was like, I'm not going to do this. I met this girl, became really good friends with her. Name is Kate. And she like kind of taught me how to eat in the cafeteria, right?
way.
Like she was like, all right, we kind of want to eat some protein. Here's the salad bar. Let's fill our plates with that at first, right?
This is real story.
This is a real story.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had no idea what she was talking about, right? Like, I was like, all right, I'm just going to do exactly what you're doing. She looked super fit. And it felt like she was the only person I'd seen that looked like that really in my whole life, right? Like a fit woman. Like she had muscle definition and tone, or, whatever we want to call it. So I ate like her, and that kind of like changed my mindset. And I was like, all right, I feel like if I eat like this, I won't gain that freshman 15.
Yeah.
And I felt better doing that despite the binge drinking on the weekends that happened in college.
Yeah.
So ended up leaving, but I kind of took that information with me when I moved back home. I got my own apartment for the first time, and I was like, all right, I'm going to take those skills and try to learn how to cook myself.
Yeah.
Did not know what I was doing. Cannot say that the meals were beautiful. Can't even say they tasted very good.
Effort 10 maybe, quality somewhere
effort,
6-ish.
maybe a 15 out of 10, and quality maybe a 2 out of 3.
Yeah, you average that out. It's pretty good.
Pretty good. Pretty good. So I was determined to like try to cook the same way. I felt way better eating that way versus, I don't know, going out and ordering food in, or I don't know what my options were at that age, and not having a lot of money and being a college student.
Yeah.
And then my dad looked at me one day and was like, you can like study food, right? Like you can study all this. I was like, what do you mean? What does that mean? Like, I can be a chef? I don't want to be a chef. He's like, no, you can study what you're starting to get into, which is how to eat healthy or how to cook healthy, whatever, however you define that. So I started looking into it and realized, okay, I can study something called clinical nutrition.
Yep.
And that is when I started looking for schools that had that major as an option, and went to school, to be a registered dietitian.
Amazing. So this girl, it's interesting though, because things in life like that can completely alter a trajectory.
Totally.
Like imagine if you woke up on a Monday morning after a weekend of the binge drinking, having fun, and it wasn't Kate, it was, whatever the name of that human is. You're from the West Coast, you're a little lost, you're a little vulnerable, you don't really know what to eat, and that person's like, oh yeah, come here. I know the best cheeseburger spot downtown. Let's the hell with this cafeteria. And then like your trajectory is totally different. So it is amazing that in a situation like that, such a small influence, we always talk about every detail matters, but such a little influence, and then it changed kind of the whole trajectory of your educational career.
Completely. And I always thought I was raised by like healthy parents. My dad was in the medical field. He was always on the weekends running or biking or skiing. We belonged to a gym growing up, but the mindset I feel like was so different.
Yeah.
I was raised with this idea that we had to like move in a cardio sense all of the time, which don't get me wrong, it's still a huge part of my life. Movement throughout the day, cardio is still something that I love and is more of like a mental health thing for me. But it isn't the only thing that matters. And I think we can put like a pin on the exercise side of things and come back to that.
Yeah.
But from the nutrition standpoint, again, I thought it was like healthy growing up, but there was a lot of more restriction going on. And so, this kind of, I don't know, Kate coming into my life and showing me that you can still fill your plate up with a ton of food. It's just the right kind of food that matters the most.
Now, that trip down dietary research, clinical nutrition type thing, you then went into team building, or like there was a whole nother set of skills that you somehow acquired at some point along the line?
Yeah, I would say also when I went to school for clinical nutrition, that is also when I quickly realized how hand in hand exercise and nutrition does need to be, and started to explore different kind of like opportunities and mentorship in a gym where I started to learn how to lift weights for the very first time too.
Yeah.
So found the value very quickly, but my formal education was in clinical nutrition. Went to grad school to get my registered dietitian license. And then my first job after getting my license, I knew right away that we had rotations in like the clinical world. So I worked in a hospital while getting my license, and I knew the reactive side of nutrition in the clinical sense was not for me. I didn't want to be prescribing feeding tubes and, helping people, like being more reactive.
Yep.
And so I looked for a job in a more proactive nutrition field, which ended up being this tech company that was doing corporate meal benefits. So providing healthy food for corporate employees and doing kind of on-site corporate wellness.
It's amazing. So you took that information, applied it to kind of large scale for corporate health in that business field. Now, that's in the corporate world. How did you then mentally transition into kind of wanting to do this sort of thing, where instead of it being reactive, instead of it being a turning point because of a symptom onset, which for a human is an easy thing to then say, okay, I'm ready to pivot, right? Like I had a heart attack, I'm ready to pivot. I'm overweight to the point where I can't walk. I'm ready to pivot. But how did you want to transition then to the point where now you kind of got to work with people that might not get that instant gratification the next day on the pivot or the reason to do it, but now in the preventative field, working with people to say, hey, the long-term benefits of what we're about to do are gonna really show their dividend on the back end, but that process might not show results every day. How do you transition that into kind of that wellness preventative care arena from, a corporate world like that? Scale.
I mean, that's still a challenge, right? Like, how do you convince someone to work on something now that maybe they see some benefit, right? Maybe they have some like aesthetic goal or they have some metric goal where they start to see that benefit. But explaining to a woman that the more muscle or, the more muscle that she has now will help, decrease the impact of menopause in 20 years, right? That's such a challenge. But I think when I was in this job, that was like the first time I was really seeing like the behavior side of like what happens when people start to learn, this kind of like information. And at the same time, I actually was going through it myself.
Yep.
So after college, I gained like, I don't know, 5 or so, maybe 5 to 10 pounds. And I could not figure out what was going on. And sure, that was a little bit of like an aesthetic thing. It was also a little bit of like, I just felt sluggish and like not myself, but nothing that I could see changed, right? Like I wasn't really eating any differently. And I felt like I had to restrict food or skip meals or do like double days and like high intensity boot camps to like get back to where I was. And so I think it was like the combination of my own experience and now starting to work with people from a proactive standpoint that made me realize like that was that's the drive, that's the passion. I can take my own personal experience and try to give people like small changes to implement to actually get to the end result. And they can see these like micro changes now, which help them envision the long-term changes in the future.
You know what's interesting? Little side note, like Mike's been in this business now for how long?
I forgot you were here, Mike.
Yeah, here I am.
You've been doing this for 17 plus years.
23.
Yeah, and most people's personal journeys have some like terrible health moment where they're like, "Oh my god, what made you never do that?" Like you've never really had a terrible health moment.
I had my terrible health moment in high school, which set me on this path. You know what I mean?
True.
So it's like
because
I think that's the interesting thing about like all the conversations that we've had. Is that none of our paths were necessarily linear,
right?
And we're always looking for this next thing that, whether it be to fill a void or to serve a purpose or whatever, it's like we knew what we were doing at the time wasn't right.
Right.
So we kept searching, and it's just reminiscent of like when I'm hearing Liza's story, it's like she just was not satisfied. No matter what you were doing, like you knew you could be doing something better. And there was a personal aspect to it that got you there in the first place.
I also think higher performing, in whatever that means, and we're going to talk about that later, higher performing people that expect a lot of themselves will notice variability in their day-to-day performance much more than the average person, right? Like if you take a 250-pound person that eats McDonald's every day and the scale moves 2 to 3 pounds, they don't know.
Yeah.
But if you're doing this every day, you're eating consciously, you're in coordination with your physicality and mentality all in one, like you start to notice details like that and the drive to become healthier. So you then now are kind of in this like transition thing, and we as RTS are inviting your expertise into here, right? And we love this little trio of minds, and we're very excited to work with you. So one of the biggest things is, what then now has solidified your move into that like preventive, aggressively healthy kind of like upfront, so that you're not waiting for the symptoms care model?
Well, I think one thing to add too is, I don't know, Mike, something you said made me think of this, which is everything that I thought was so about, like, it felt like we had to spend hundreds of hours like working on like our health, right? And we were talking a little bit about like, you get like, you want to be proactive, but you're also like busy and there's like so much going on and you have these like big life moments. Well, one of my like other big life moments was my career started growing and growing and growing, right? One of the things that we didn't talk about is I started off at this first company in nutrition, but then, it was a classic startup, got asked to help out on sales and account management and all these different roles. And my career kind of grew from there, and I started getting further and further away from actually doing nutrition as a profession through this company, right? And it took off into this like more tech world, more into sales and revenue driving positions. And so I got busier and busier, and I realized the more reactive I am about my health, or my peers are being about their health, the more time it's going to take, to get back on track, right? And we just don't have that much time, right? Like we're working, we're working all day. We might have kids that need to be picked up and dropped off. We might have friends. Like there's a lot to balance, and it cannot be that we are spending upwards of 2 hours a day working on our health. Like there's got to be a better solution. And that was really the first thing that pivoted me from, holy shit, we cannot be so reactive. We have to go into a proactive model. How do we switch that? Like, I'm going to do that for myself first and then figure out how we do that for others.
You, Mike, a couple weeks ago, maybe months, I don't know, time flies, said something profound in terms of management of your health. And you said the workouts and the nutrition now aren't as if it's an effort to do it. It's just part of your day. And I want to take that a level further because, like you said, you don't want to consciously have to like separate moments of the day and be like, I need these 3 hours. No matter. But health is a pretty cool thing because you can do it 24/7 if you actively engage in a little bit of the thought process. But the passive income from healthy thoughts throughout the day is huge. And the revenue-driven statement struck home because we talk about financials and health kind of at the same thing. The difference is, though, I think, like, if you go to a job, you work, and then that paycheck hits your bank account, you're like, oh, I can see that.
Totally.
Where the revenue and health that we're trying to drive in people, they might not see that moment of exchange rate. It's kind of like the stock exchange, right? Like, you might not see the up and down every minute. You're just banking that in 10 years it's going to be higher. And that's the push, right? And that's, I think, the preventive care in the things. A cool thing you said is you made reference to like lots of distractions in your life. And one of the things you said was kids. So how has, having a child shifted your perspective, or has it in terms of your health or overall health of population?
I just told Mike my daughter has like jacked shoulders. So
it's all you.
I'm convinced it was my diet and exercise habits through pregnancy.
Well, there was just a really big study that came out about eating habits and exercise in pregnancy, and it makes the kid eat different and be more jacked.
Shocker. What's the opposite look like?
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, like we talked about this a few weeks ago, like the equal opposite to working out and working on your nutrition is not working out and not working on your nutrition.
Yeah.
Like there's no greater equal benefit of exercise as opposed to the consequence of not doing those things.
Yeah.
So like when you're talking about like all the things that you could be doing for your health, it doesn't have to be this Herculean effort to get to the gym 5 days a week.
Yeah.
It could just be like consumption based on your food, based on who you hang out with, based on the shows you watch, based on the news. Don't watch the fucking news.
Yeah.
And your mental health is better. That's proven.
Well,
right?
and at the end of this entire episode on our notes, we have a thing where we're supposed to talk about like, what does health mean to you? But I mean, the definition that you just gave, it's really everything, right? Like who you're around, who's going to stress you out, what smell you might smell when you walk out of your house. If it's like burning rubber, or you live next to a trash compactor, or like you smell flowers, like everything is going to affect.
Yeah, I mean, didn't we all like our friend groups adapted and changed as we stopped partying so much and drinking? I mean, that just because who you surround yourself are the habits that you're going to have.
Yeah, totally.
But you said two things. One, which was how did having a daughter change my perspective? And I don't think, well, of course, there's the cliche of like modeling what I want her to have in her life, right? But I think it just goes back to the time, like we only have so much time. And so everything I do is about intention.
Yeah.
The more intention you set, the more pre-planning you set, the more efficient you can be with your time. Again, this does not need to be something that takes so much of our time every day. It doesn't need to take 2 hours of our day. You can like preload so much of that work and get like, you know, on the weekend and get the rest done during the week. It doesn't need to be such a heavy lift is the first thing. Like, and if we are, I think as so many of the female clients that I get kind of came from this background of needing to not only do several workouts a day, but maybe a lot of like not as efficient or effective types of workouts and probably not the right guidance when it comes to nutrition.
Yeah.
That small tweaks can take them from like, you know, one place to like, you know, another place much more quickly.
Yeah, drastic changes.
Drastic.
And I think it's like an exponential difference with nutrition added into the entire experience.
Yeah.
Because we are such passive engagers with food. Like kids, they just kind of snack, or the lunch line at school is just kind of like, well, we get what we get, and nobody explains what we're getting. You know, it's like, oh, I'm getting pasta and I'm getting a piece of chicken, instead of learning like, oh, I'm getting a protein and I'm getting a carb and I'm getting a fat, and all of these things we just kind of don't notice, but really affect our bodies.
Well, Eliza's, her personal experience of like, she was a freshman in college, not knowing how to navigate a cafeteria. And I'm not saying that's just you. That was all of us, because we were never taught that skill in the first place as kindergartners or first graders, and saying like, hey, here's a healthy option, or here's a good selection, or however you need to teach that was never learned. And then that's a life skill that has drastic impact
We weren't taught
all
any
levels.
of this.
Nothing.
My daughter literally gets mad if her protein and veggies are like like she needs to see that there is
Same here.
chicken. I mean, same here. She
yeah.
needs to see that there's a chicken, like some type of lean protein, some type of vegetable, and then some type of mostly mac and cheese.
Yeah. Well,
No, but listen,
it's a basic food group.
but think about you know, the whole experience that you had in college. Who knows what would have happened? I mean, I played lacrosse, right? So I probably burnt, I don't know, 8 million calories a day. So I, unfortunately, probably was out training my bad diet. Because like I would just go murder chicken cutlets and sloppy joes and like Bud Light, but like ranch dressing on a salad that you couldn't see the lettuce. You know what I mean? Like, but at that time I got away with it because I was fortunate enough to be running around all day.
Yeah.
But the minute you stop doing that, it's instant change.
Yeah.
And then you realize the exponential effect of nutrition. How do you, first, I got a random question just popped in my head. You ever been driving down the road and your window's open and you stop at a light and there's somebody next to you with their window down in the passenger? Isn't it one of the most fucking awkward moments? Like if you're
eye contact?
No, but if you're actually like window to window. And I don't know why, but I love doing it, right? Like I love stopping.
You
right?
would like smile and wave.
Yeah, I look over and I always wave and say hi.
I see that for
and
you.
people sometimes shut the window. So I also, this kind of brought me.
You do know how you look.
No, right? I know.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did.
I mean,
but I had
giant truck, bearded
muscle
guy.
Can I tell a story? This just happened yesterday, and it's incredible to me. So I am always a stop and help somebody on the side of the road guy. I can't, like, if I see somebody who needs just a hand, I mean, if it's like a big blowout, sometimes, you can't stop on the highway or something, but somebody on the side of the road needs a push, whatever. So I'm getting off the Merritt yesterday to come here, and there's a car broken down. Young gentleman, tall guy, 2 kids in his car. So I get out and I try to help him. I'm pushing the car. We get to the entrance to the gas station, and we can't get over the hill because he's in the driver's seat. I'm pushing. It's just the car was way too heavy to get up this little ramp. So I stop and I'm like waving at cars driving by. I just did it randomly, but any like adult male I saw driving by, I was like waving, can you please come in? And nobody stopped. So that went about 5 minutes. Then 2 young men pulled into the gas station and parked their car. So I walked over and I said, hey, excuse me, can you guys help me push this car? One guy like jogged into the gas station. The other guy nervously was like, no, and like took off. So finally, I ended up seeing the guy from Ion Bank, the guy we deal with. He pulled over and helped push the car out of the road. But the reason I'm telling the story is like, I don't know, maybe 150 cars drove by. Nobody even thought twice that like the 2 guys or the 1 guy pushing a car into the gas station, like you stop for 30 seconds and that job's done. But it's almost like this, you tell a story of Kate who wanted to help you. And that's incredible. But like, there's so many people unwilling to help. And I think in the health arena, the reason I told that story is it's the same shit in the health arena. Like, how many friends do you know that are like, Mike, let's go eat a piece of grilled chicken, and I'm just going to jam broccoli down my throat, right? Nobody does that. They're all like, hey, let's go grab beers, wings, and like watch football. Like, why is it like that? Like, why do people kind of want?
Haven't been invited to my house.
No, I would love broccoli. Yeah, I'm on my way. So, like, why don't we do that? Why don't we encourage more healthy habits? Like, we try with our friend group, and it's an encouragement thing, but like, why do people not want to really grab onto that? And the reason I'm asking is the next kind of thing is, how do you hold clients accountable, right? Like, so how do you get them to follow that lead?
Well, I probably wouldn't stop for you on the side of the road, but
That's fair.
That's fair.
Okay, so I think the first thing is like really understanding. Well, you asked two questions. One is like, why don't we like
Help?
why don't we help? And then the other is how to hold people accountable, which I feel like are two separate things.
Yeah,
but
very.
in terms of holding people accountable, I do think like the first thing is like understanding someone and their why and their, I don't know, gaps or pain points in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone will need a different level of accountability. Some people come in because they actually just don't have the education. And the second you give them the education, the only accountability they need is someone to say, awesome job, you nailed it this week. And that alone is like, fuck yeah, okay, great, I'm on to the next week, right? They just need that pat on the back. Some people, maybe they have the education, maybe they don't, but there's something else that's the problem. Maybe it's that they don't see the value because the reward is so far in the future that they can't process it now. Or maybe they just have a different lifestyle. Like they're single and living in New York City, and like the social engagements or dating or whatever it is just so great. And so, I don't know, good food, good restaurants, right? So I think it's like a level of accountability that's needed for different people.
Right.
I think in my like tech experience, and that's a little bit of what I pull from is like, what are the different tools? What are the different levers that we can use to hold people accountable? Even like the systems I put in place for myself, like, do I even have internally the right reminders on my calendar to make sure that I'm following up with people to hold them accountable? Sometimes it's as simple as, hey, as a reminder, you have this big dinner tonight. What's the plan? Right? And not just telling them the plan. It's asking them what their plan is. One thing that I always do is, let's say someone's traveling or we do have a big dinner. I always want to start off with, what is your intention for this travel? What is your intention for this dinner? Because if it is to have fun and enjoy yourself, great, go out and have fun and enjoy yourself. But let's first set your intention, because people don't want to disappoint themselves, right? Like, you commit to what the plan is. I will hold you accountable to committing that, and then we will check in the next day and see how it went.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Why do you think then, in situations like that, say you do encounter the person that's gotten to the point where they're like, all right, I'm in, and they want to be held totally accountable. Why do you think people then default to like, all right, they're fully in, and then they're like on it every day, all or nothing, and then they burn out? Where do you find that like mid-range accountability? Where do you turn it into like a lifestyle change instead of just, okay, this is a time period where I did this?
Yeah, I guess I do see that pretty frequently. People who like, will be all in for something. They're extremists, right? Like, just who I am is like a moderation. Like I can do the same things every day for my entire life.
Sure.
But you have some people who are like, all right, I can commit to something for 3 months, super, super hard. I think for them, part of it is like learning that that's their behavior, right? And I'm not necessarily going to like know that right away. Some of it's a little bit of like a learning process. I think it is one thing I will do for all people or all clients is, you have people come in and say, I want like, balls to the wall. I want all of it, right? I have learned that never works well for anyone.
Yeah.
Let's start with a small goal. Let's see you achieve that small goal. And if you can successfully achieve that small goal for a certain period of time, then we can increase the goals.
Yep. And I think you're really deep on that statement. I think you're very good at doing that. And where did you develop that thought too? Because this is in parallel.
It's probably just from the failure of execution of doing something that extreme or that like, dude, they're going to take this giant 180 and they haven't built the skills or the knowledge or the behaviors to actually execute that, at least at first. Like, so it's always comes down to like the size of change someone has to make or the rate of change they're trying to make.
Right.
And usually it's not the greatest magnitude at the greatest frequency that works.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, I'm going to do this extreme thing and then I'm going to eat sensibly. It's like, why don't we just eat sensibly now,
All
take
the
a little
time.
longer, but do it forever? You know, so like allowing them to expand the time horizon at which they need to operate to be truly successful is probably the biggest paradigm shift for the end user to really like, because it doesn't like, so you're going to try to save up $1 million. Do you want to do that this month or the next 30 years? You know what I mean? Because we are talking about something that has compounding interest that will benefit you greatly over the longer period of time.
Yeah.
But people think of it the now, the quick, the, you know, biohack, whatever it may be. So it's really them not understanding like what it's actually going to take to be successful. And this is where we talk about having professional expertise in an area that we're highly uneducated, just organically. Like we don't know how this stuff works. We don't know how our body responds.
Right.
So if you're coming from a couch for 20 years to wanting to lose 50 pounds, training, which you've never done, running, which you've never done, eating, which you've never done, like, what do you think is going to happen if we just throw you in the fire?
Well, you know what's crazy too is I always, people think like I've been like this for the past whatever. I'm not. I mean, I played sports, whatever, but I had a good 10 plus years where I was like terribly out of shape, fat, tired, lazy. Like I did the whole dad thing, drinking the beers, whatever. And this is kind of a pure sales pitch for you. I mean, like, I knew you my whole life, so I trusted you, right? Inherently. So I wasn't like, all right, Mike's going to fucking backdoor me and hurt me. And I literally just said, all right, I'm fucking done worrying about what I need to do for my health. Mike, tell me what to do. I work from 7 to 4:30. So that time frame, I can't do anything. But outside of that time frame, tell me what to do. And literally, you're like, well, here's what you're going to do for exercise. Here's what you're going to eat. Follow these rules. And truly, it like just worked. And that whole change ended up completely pivoting my life into something amazing. So I think if people realize that that outcome, even in the midst of a process, like I'm not even a quarter way done, you know, like I'm still getting results that I love that are in the process because I enjoy the process of change. And I think that that kind of relief of stress, so I don't have to really worry about what I'm going to eat and all these things. And I can truly, the bottom line, I wrote this down, is like, when it first started, I just blamed you for everything. Like I'd go out and people were like, you're no fun. I'd be like, fucking Mike won't let me have fun tonight. You know, I just blamed you. I took accountability actually off myself and put it on you. And all I would do was just follow the rules. And then the accountability became just listening, making sure I followed up on what you told me to do, and encountered this whole health thing, which transitioned into exactly like you said. It's just part of my day now. And health is a 24/7 thing as a passive engagement because I am fully engaged all day long. I don't have to truly think about it.
But why? All of my clients say, what do I say to my friends when I go out to eat?
It's one of my favorite questions.
I love it. I actually look at it as like a true now. I was at a business dinner last night, 14, 15, and I'm talking like there was a guy probably in there. He's going to have $1 billion company, another couple $100 million people, like crazy shit. They were serving wine. I'm like, that stuff will kill you. And I just didn't even touch it. And I felt like the whole energy shifted though, because everyone was like, oh no. And, like people of way higher social rank, like moving their wine glasses. So I don't know the perfect answer, but I think if you embrace it as like a cool self-control thing, because it's beyond the conceptual ability of most humans.
Yeah.
Like one guy was like, you have to drink wine. You're at a business meeting. I was like, no, I don't. And I can have the exact same time. I don't know. What do you say?
More so from helping clients navigate this situation, I try to get understanding out of the way. Like most people don't understand. Like if you go to dinner, the expectation is that you're going to eat and drink and do stupid, like whatever. You're going into that situation with them not knowing maybe A, they don't have a plan.
Yeah.
And B, they don't know you have a plan.
Right.
So a 5-minute conversation is like, hey, I'm trying to not die from my habits.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be that extreme, but like I'm doing this thing. My coach, my nutritionist says I have to eat this way, blah, blah, blah. I'm allowed one cheat meal tonight, not tonight, like whatever. But
like
just
that.
having communication, because I think the expectation is because we have such a weird relationship with food and dining and liquor and all that stuff that people just expect you're going to go get fucked up like them. It's well, no, it's not what I want. Like the idea that like you do what everyone else does to get what everyone else has maybe isn't for you.
Right.
And that's a perfectly good explanation as long as you're not passing judgment on what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it's always weird that like when you try to get healthy, you're the weird one.
Yeah. It's so.
And it reminds me of the quote that like alcohol is like one of the few things when you don't do something, when you don't drink alcohol, someone asks what's wrong.
But if
like,
you,
it's like, what's wrong with you drinking all the time?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
that's weird.
Because being healthy, I believe making healthy choices is like the ultimate societal revolt, right? Because everything is consumerism. We are just built to consume sugar, fat. Like people are dying from obesity every day. It is the number one killer on the planet. It makes the most amount of cases for cancer. It murders more people. COVID happened. Everyone thought COVID was the worst thing on the planet. Nobody talks about obesity anymore as a bad thing. It's like, oh, embrace everyone's body habits. It's like you wouldn't embrace the guy snorting cocaine on the side of the street. Except you embrace the woman who's like, I just want to feel comfortable, who's eating cheeseburgers and killing themselves. It's actually a lack of empathy for that person, I think, when you're just like, oh, yeah, go have your fun, right? But it's an interesting thing in terms of being healthy because it is you're swimming upstream, man. You're going against
minority.
You in every instance because we are also taught to just let life go, right? Like, oh, and you said it earlier, you only have so much time. And you want to accomplish things. Yeah. So if you just passively age and you don't take care of your health, you will not get to experience that stuff. What do you believe in muscle? Is it negotiable or non-negotiable for women?
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. Mike?
Well, I want it especially from Eliza because we started working together 3 years ago. And it was like it's always cool to you know the different type of people I get to meet and work with. And you were at the time like I don't know 5 or 6 months pregnant. Yeah. And she's one of the first people to say I want to make sure I don't lose my muscle. And I thought that was just like a really unique response. I was like, holy shit, I definitely I can see eye to eye, and I think this is going to work great. But I think you lending the very unique perspective of being a working mom, trying to balance all this stuff, and now you're in the industry trying to kind of pay it forward and help people navigate what they should be focusing on or prioritizing. And it probably means a lot more coming from you because you lived it than two middle-aged dudes talking about muscle. Like no offense to anyone here except Marcus. But yeah, just talking a little bit about that because you work with a lot of women that maybe have this misconception around what that means to be a muscular female working mom, whatever.
So many thoughts here. I mean, I think the first piece is just like women and muscle in general. The amount of women who come up to me and say, oh, but I don't want to get bulky, right?
Good
and
luck.
It's like, good luck. Yeah. Right? Like, how hard is it for even the average man to get bulky, let alone
it's
the woman,
slow.
Right? Yeah. So I think there's just so much there on just female mindset and what we were just as women trained or grew up. Force-fed on what we should look like and what we should do in the gym and how we should eat and just all of that, right? Unrelated to pregnancy and that journey. When it comes to pregnancy, I mean, even just walking around your gym floor yesterday, I think 2 pregnant women came up to me and said, I just want to like make sure that I like feel good during my pregnancy because I know that like labor is going to be its own journey. Yep. And they actually were like, I don't want to wait until after the baby's there because that's going to make it even harder. And I'm like, yes. Yeah. Yes. Everyone who says to me like, oh, I'll just wait until the baby's here. I'm like, have you had a newborn baby before? Because that is not easy. No. We have a woman here. I think you met her this morning. She just had a kid. Okay. She's a maniac. She worked out right up to the day. It was awesome. And she's already back, feels great. Like there was huge benefit. I mean, I was messaging Mike here. I mean, I think like the day after I had my daughter being like, when can I lift weights again? Yeah,
did you see
pump the brakes?
Did you see also a new study just came out where they studied deadlifting and bench pressing, or no, maybe it was squatting and bench pressing in pregnant women? Because a lot of people and a lot of OBs will say, okay, don't do things increase your pressure so much. And there's zero, they track them over time, zero risk factor.
Yeah. So I think like, when it comes to muscle and women, especially like, the female journey through pregnancy and postpartum and raising kids and, also having other things going on in your life. I mean, yes, we want to like look good. We want to feel good, but all of these like life stages and journeys are athletic events, right? And the more muscle we have, the more able we are or more capable we are to do all the things. I say almost daily, how do women do half the things that I do with my daughter without having muscle? I think just the other day, I had to hike a mile and a half with my daughter on my shoulders and her bike and helmet in my hand and her backpack on my back because she refused to get back on her bike. What in the world would I have done if I didn't have muscle? Right?
Stuck.
So it's like literally life, just living life with a toddler.
And I think you said something that's pretty neat. We try to promote it quite a bit, like life athlete. Like people always say, what are you training for? I'm like, what are you not training for? Like, sure, there are extremes of athleticism, which are like the Tom Brady's, the Michael Jordans of the world, right? That's the ultimate. Everything in between being completely paralyzed from the neck down and that is an athletic event. Like you said, you got to get up off your couch. You got to walk to the fridge. That's movement. That's body that's one thing that was interesting a couple of days ago. I was watching somebody jump and you were teaching them how to jump as an adult. And they were so uncoordinated with their body because they hadn't used those muscles in so long. It took them some time to like relearn how to jump. But think about like if that human was walking down a path and tripped and fell and now has to jump off, say, a little ledge, like they might not do that and they might fall. So every day you're kind of tasked with athletic things. So I think a life athlete's a big deal. That's an amazing point, and Mike says it all the time as well.
I think there's also like, there's the, like scientific route too of how protective muscle is as we age as women too. That, that reading that alone, we, even when I was younger, you kind of like hear, I don't know, your mom or your mom's friends talk about menopause. And, it's horrible. And, the hot flashes and, you just wait. I think that the thing that I most commonly hear is, you just wait until you have kids. Then you'll see how your body changes, or you just wait until you're my age. You won't be able to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and it's a funny thing being in menopausal healthcare because women for years have been saying like, just wait till you get to menopause, just like you. But
men say that to me
But then the OBs I discuss with are like, oh no, that's a normal change. It's like every woman on the planet for the past 100 years has been complaining that at some point in their life starts to suck enough that it's noticeable that they need to struggle just to make it through an average day. Like, what are we?
That can't be right.
I won't get too sidetracked on that, but that's insanity to me. If I was a woman, I would be outraged at the healthcare system. I just want one more conversation about the strength training thing, more of a philosophical thought. Question of my own, actually, I would say. What do you think is the driving force behind a woman saying, I don't want to get bulky? Is it personal preference? Is it societal pressure from other women? Is it like a nudity thing with men? Is it a presentation to population? Like, I don't get it because personally, I think muscles are great. So I can't reason it out not to have them. But what's the dislike of trying to get them?
I think it's probably like a level of masculinity that's associated with it.
Sure.
I mean, I have those thoughts too sometimes. Like, am I stronger than like, a guy down the street, right? Like, do I still?
Yes, you are.
You are. And you're giggling, so you love it. It's good.
I do love it, right? That's why I'm here. I still want to feel feminine, right? And I think that's what deters people. I then often, and they can say whatever they want to say back to that, but I'm like, do you think I look too bulky? Right? Yes, if I am bicep curling in the gym, my biceps might look bulky, right? But like I leave the gym and do you think I look bulky in this, in this tank top, right? Or do you think I just, look
normal. Fit. Yeah. That's
right?
exactly right.
Or do you think I look feminine, right? And I'll ask people that question. And the answer is always yes, but I think it's a fear of maybe looking too masculine.
There's definitely something about the the antiquated gender role and
Yes.
gender identities and characteristics that you can even track back to, like, if you asked a man what he wants to accomplish, he would say big, strong, sick, whatever. You ask a woman, it's typically tone, long,
Every time.
lean. The problem is that they don't know it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You just want muscles. Like almost
Yeah.
every desire comes back to, like, can we put a little bit more muscle on your frame?
Right.
Maybe lose a little adipose tissue, which is actually easier when you have more muscle, and you're going to get the look that you want. And also the idea that they're just going to blow up in 3 months of squatting. I'm sorry. That's not how biology, physiology, neurology works. So the misconception of like what they're looking for aligned with what behaviors and what they actually have to do to get what their desired outcome is totally off track. But I think to your point, it just tracks back to like women are supposed to be petite and small, and then muscles are a masculine characteristic. And it's like, I've yet to find a woman that has so many muscles that anyone perceives them as bulky.
Yeah.
I've not worked with that person outside of a pro bodybuilder.
I'm going to say is the only bulky women I've ever encountered, truly bulky, are old school, like old farming, like rural women. Like where my father's from in Croatia, you go meet his aunts and cousins that were women in the farm. I mean, these women's forearms, their arms, but they were very feminine, strong, working in the fields. They were a little bulky because they were actually picking up rocks, manual labor for 60 years, and they got a little bulky. You know what I mean? Like, that's how long it took to build up a forearm that looked non-feminine, I would say.
Right.
Yeah. But an amazing human. Nutrition, data, and decision making. So we talked about this, like, okay, I'm going to dive in and I'm just going to do it all. And I want this extreme. So somebody comes to you and I was like, I need nutrition advice, but like, I want to do this. Like, what am I going to do? Right. And they're so eager. Tell me what to eat. Blah, 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 blah. How do you then like calm them down, backtrack a touch, and get them to the point where it's like, okay, we don't want to do that because they will fail. That's a clear, obvious. How do you then track them onto the right way to think in terms of the theory moving forward for nutritional health?
Yeah. I mean, the first step I would take any client into, one of the first steps is just tracking what you're eating today. I have no idea what advice to give you if I don't have the data in front of me to help dictate the next step.
Yeah.
Right. So that is one of the first steps. The next is really similar to what we were saying.
And now when you say tracking, would it be by weight or just like, tell me you eat chicken, rice, and broccoli?
Yeah. I think it's meeting them a little bit where they're at, right?
Perfect.
I think dream state, yes, if we can get the most accurate data tracking, cool.
Yeah.
But it's all about meeting them where they're at.
Perfect.
I actually really like the hand measurement technique, which I know, I think you, Mike, you do a little bit of, and it's also pretty basic nutrition education that we were taught in school, right?
Yep.
The reason that I like that so much, especially before using a scale, is because my whole goal is to get people to have the awareness even when they are not in their routine.
Yeah.
Right? If you are not at home eating every single meal, I have been known to pull out a food scale at a restaurant before, but most people are not going to do that, right? So I want them to be able to visualize what a portion looks like.
Did you find out the 10-ounce filet was actually 8? Because that would get me really mad.
There have been a number of times where I'll get like a packaged deli meat or like a smoked salmon, and it's like, the package has 4 ounces, and I weigh, I'm like, that is not 4 ounces. That is 3.7.
That's not right.
What is going on?
What is going on? So next, what are the most, so pretend I'm a 55-year-old woman, I come in and I need nutritional help.
Yeah.
And you give it to me, what are the most common mistakes you'll probably find in what my routine might have been?
This is like after you started tracking.
Yeah.
I would say the two most common, one is under eating.
Yeah.
And the other is our fat intake.
Yeah.
Almost every woman comes to me and they immediately say,
cramp, sorry.
Okay. They immediately say, I know, I'm eating too many carbohydrates.
Never. It's fucking.
I know how you feel about carbohydrates.
Never. Sorry, keep going.
It is never the carbs.
Never.
Problem. Never.
Never.
And maybe a little bit of that is because they've also been so cautious about carb intake because we've been told for so long that that is the problem.
Yeah.
But those are the two most common things.
Yeah.
They are under eating. Yes, there's the protein aspect, but honestly, a lot of times that's not too far off. And that seems to be a slightly easier one for most people to change habit on. I find it under eating and way too much fat, and mostly underreporting fat also. They do not even take into consideration how much olive oil they're putting on their salad or how much olive oil they're using to cook or creamer in our coffee.
But I do think that's a really, really good point. We've said it many times, like the best trackers in the world are on average 50% off. And that's the best. Right? Like I've done tricks on myself to try to see, and there's no way. Like you really don't have an idea. Yeah. Protein maybe, but the carb stuff is really hard to tell.
Really difficult.
How about you? You must see the same thing constantly, right? So what do you think the most significant error in the nutritional end of women's health do you see on an average basis?
I think the last statistic I saw was an American woman will average cycle through 4 to 5 different diets yearly.
Yeah.
So all right, so they're on maybe every 2 months they're changing it.
Yeah.
Or they do it for 6 weeks, they take off. So right then and there tells me that there is really no understanding of what they're doing to leverage into the next thing.
Yeah.
Which goes back to tracking. Like if you went through, imagine this, you did 5 different diets this year, none of them yielded long-term success. That person has the right to say, nothing works for me. And then you get into this victim mindset, like the world's against me, nothing works, my hormones, it's this, my metabolism's slow. So they start trying to find a scapegoat.
Yeah.
And that's the person that has never made an informed decision because they don't have good data to look at and then use. Not blaming them because maybe that's not what their expertise is in, but that's why you hire a coach to help you get through and collect the correct data.
Yeah.
Leverage that data and manipulate it so that it becomes part of the behavioral modification of how you relate or your relationship with food and how you're trying to make it part of your lifestyle rather than this thing that you're worried about all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I say women because I remember that statistic off the top of my head. It's the same thing for the guy who's 30 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they just don't know what their consumption actually looks like to get them to a response that they desire.
And I think it's so odd that nutrition is just this thing. Like the fact that we're trying to bring nutrition into a conversation for people's healthcare it's insane that we're fighting this battle in 2025. Meanwhile, we're learning how to cure genetic diseases that are beyond capacity. Now, I love that. Fine. I love saving the 1 out of a million disease person. That's wonderful. But how about like a little bit of effort put into nutrition?
900,000
like when someone walks into me still to this day, I eat a ton of protein. What do you eat? Peanut butter. They still say it today. Like think about how messed up that is. False marketing campaign. I mean, you want to talk about if you don't think Jiffy was on the back of that end, I mean, come on.
But that even goes back to like what we were talking about in like elementary school, not knowing what a protein is ever.
Yeah, ever.
You know, so like, of course, when the protein says 7 grams of protein per serving, you're like, that's a shit ton of protein.
Yeah, yeah.
No? Then you don't look at the fat protein ratio.
Correct. Yeah.
And fat and carbs are always attached. So I know where are we at? 5 minutes. Here we go. So you're an incredible guest to have on here. We've got a ton of information. I think it'd be pretty neat to kind of give us how do you define high performance in your vision, right? So whether that's a life athlete, however you want to position that, but what's your version of high performance?
The way that I define high performance for myself might be different than like, I think it kind of goes back to like setting these like small steps for people because that like bar for high performance might grow, right? Like I've seen small evolutions of myself over each year, right?
Yeah.
Every year I think, I could not possibly take another thing on, right? And then somehow you find the time, right? I think having a kid is like one of the greatest times where you really see that, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you have a kid, you're like, there's no possible way I could fit something else in. And then all of a sudden you
Yeah.
literally have to take care of another human being. So I think the backbone is consistency.
Yeah.
It is not about being the most
Brilliant.
extreme person. I have been known to have some extreme tendencies.
Sure.
I wake up at the exact same time every day. It's pretty early. I think you guys do too.
Sure.
Go to bed around the same time every single day. But at the backbone or the core of all of those competencies is consistency.
And if you think about what's kind of perverted, it's like you're saying, people say that's extreme. That's actually, I think, the opposite.
Sure.
It's like very baseline, like structurally sound, foundationally proven. Like extreme to me is like I'm staying up till 1 a.m.
It's erratic.
Yeah,
Every
erratic.
day is different.
Every day is different is extreme. Every day being the same, I think, is like pretty straightforward. Consistency is an amazing, amazing thing to have.
It's wake up time. It's go to sleep time.
Yeah.
It's eating. I love going out to eat, right? Like
Yeah.
I love food, but 90% of the time I'm eating the same things
Yeah.
every day, to the point where I don't actually have to track my food if I didn't want to, because my diet is so consistent, right? It's interchanging one lean protein for another, or one
Yeah.
vegetable for another, but it's the consistency of eating the same things every day,
Yeah.
eating around the same times every day,
Yeah.
getting movement around the same times every day. And sure, not every day is perfect, right? But consistency is that thing.
Well, the funny thing is, like, sometimes probably on this episode, people, or on this podcast or in life, are, oh, Marco's a doctor, Mike's a trainer, and like, oh, Marco has all these philosophies and things. But I want to make it known, I had no consistency and I had terrible health until you taught me what to do.
Was that a lack of education or just?
It was, yeah, because like you go to med school, they burn you to the ground with reading and information, right? Then you become a resident and they burn you to the ground, right? Like they just essentially work you till, because you're free labor for the hospital. So like the more they can get out of you, the better. That's just, it is what it is. The training is a passive thing. It's more just how do they get labor out of people. So you just lose sight of it. You can't comprehend taking care of yourself because you spend all day taking care of other people. And it becomes so inconsistent. Like it's also coming down to like, I mean, you can extrapolate this into police world, into everything. Like you have people that are up from 3 to 11, then 11 to 6, and then the next day they're working at 24. And then you think they're going to be fucking conscious of what they're doing on a day-to-day basis with someone in their face saying, I'm going to blow your brains out. Like, we worry about these decisions people are making because there is no consistency. And I think that's a really good foundational root. You've been a consistent person, which is why I think you've never, like you said, in high school you had that moment, but like since then you've been up every morning, you do your thing, and like that's why this place is successful. And the reason I want to tell that story is as a doctor, well-educated, I'm doctor, I needed a coach.
Typical Yale guy.
I needed somebody. No, I did. I needed somebody to tell me.
But we all do.
But luckily it was from within, because I don't know if I would have done the same if it was a random, right? Because I don't really trust many people. So it was a cool experience. I think consistency is an amazing statement. Any thoughts on consistency before we sign off here?
Well, all of it, I 100% believe that consistency is like a superpower. And I think about in the competitive world, like we look at who's the best, the GOAT, all that stuff. And you can interpret the best as like the absolute maximum someone can bring, or their worst day.
Yeah.
So it's not just the best being that much great; it's them doing what's required to get what needs to get done.
Yep.
And like at the end of the day, you have a shitty night's sleep, you miss a meal, you miss a workout. The next day, you just try to get back on track.
Yeah.
And it's those people that don't have such a limbo period that can compress that limbo period, not for the weekend, but for an hour.
Yep.
And get back and do what's required of them to be successful.
Yeah.
That's what ultimately determines the best.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not the 3-day vacation that's the problem.
Correct.
It's what they're doing before the vacation and what they do after the vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. Liza, thank you for coming.
Thank you guys for having me.
Lovely podcast. We're really excited. I do want to let everyone know she will be working with clients, dietary training. She's perfectly well-rounded for women, men, all ages. We want to use her expertise. I think we've gotten a little taste of her life expectations from herself, so I'm probably going to assume she'll hold most people accountable to theirs. And until next episode, enjoy your weekend.